Hello, you guys. Welcome back to another episode of Circuit Update. I'm here today with Reverend John Breon, the newly appointed District Superintendent of the Western District. And I know that he has all kinds of knowledge already of the district. We're gonna go talking about it, and part of the conversation will be is how he's adapting to these new change and to the I guess a change is new, so to the change of the district superintending this vast area of the Western District. So welcome
Thank you.
to be here.
Good to be with you.
Yes, and so we want to just get to know you.
Okay.
How's life treating you in your new home, new district? What do you think is going?
Good. We were able to move to Yukon and actually able to buy a house there.
Awesome.
First-time homeowners at age 62. So
Congratulations.
that's kind of fun. Thank you. And been there about a month, so we're getting settled and almost unpacked and all that good stuff. Yeah, it's all new. I went through the merger of McAllister and Ardmore districts to form Lake Country years ago, and now I'll get to be with Cimarron and Wichita's as they combine to form the West District, and just kind of looking forward to seeing how that all comes together and how it works. So
yeah, great.
It'll be good.
So I know that you will be having a helicopter to go from one place to the other, right?
Yeah, somebody asked me the other day if I have a pilot's license. I said, no, I do not, but I'll be on the road a lot. Good, nice country, just good people everywhere, and I look forward to getting to know the churches out there.
And just for the good people of Oklahoma, particularly in the West, we were talking, kind of shooting the breeze, and just ask you the mechanics. And I know that you're still figuring it out, but will you have an office, a particular office, or you will be all over the place?
All over the place more. I have an office at home, and we'll do some remote stuff. I'm sure we've all learned a lot about technology in the last few years, and Zoom and various kinds of meetings. But I'll also be going out into the district, 67 churches, so it'll be a while before I get to visit everyone. But that's a goal, is to be in worship with everybody at some point, and then just to spend time in various regions and visit with people and see what the needs are, and try to stay in touch with everybody.
Yeah. So you will go to the churches and kind of house there, or
right?
Office
yeah,
there.
I have. I'm sure there are empty offices in various places that I'll be able to hang out in and get to make that kind of the hub for visiting and communicating with folks for a while.
So you folks, you heard it. If you have a place for our district superintendent in the West District, that please come to our church and spend some time. Give him a call, send him an email. He'll be glad to hear from you all. All right. So part of the podcast is we want to lift up, particular ministries, churches that are doing great ministry, and that hopefully is adaptable to other places in our annual conference. So do you have any church of the month that you would like to, or church S in the month that you would like to, lift up?
Sure. Well, in the Lake Country district, where I'm coming from, of course, there are lots of churches doing lots of really good things and ministering in their communities. One that kind of stands out is Barnard Memorial in Holdenville. Chris Mayberry has been the pastor there. She's moving this week to a new appointment. But they have this great old building, just huge, and more space than they could ever use. So they were looking for ways to help their community, and they were doing various kinds of ministries with homeless people and lots of different outreach in the community. One of the ideas that they developed was to renovate part of their space and provide that as a rental for businesses in town. And I know the last I heard, they had one business that had moved in, and they were moving ahead with that. They had some other leads. They got a lot of good illustration of the connection. They got a lot of support and information and encouragement from University Church in Tulsa, which has been kind of leading the way in that sort of thing. So it helps the church, provides some income, but it also provides for the community and gives especially startup businesses, a place to get going. And so I think that was one really interesting thing that was going on in Lake Country. I trust that'll continue. As I move into the West, I'm not as familiar yet with what's going on. The one thing that does stand out in the West, though, is the hub in the western part of the district, centered around Elk City. But there's about 6 churches involved in that now. They recently added Goodwell, which is the farthest out in the Panhandle that we have now.
Wow.
And they are, through video, sermon series, providing pastoral care as best they can for some of the remote areas. Some of it through phone calls and that sort of thing. But also a couple of other pastors in the district are going to be going out to Goodwell in the one Sunday evening a month to do dinner church and serve communion and spend time with the people there.
Oh,
so that was kind of an interesting thing. But the whole idea of the hub was just, as I've been hearing about it over the last few years, it's really a fascinating thing. So what they're doing there is kind of an outstanding thing. I think maybe not that exact thing, but something similar could work in other places.
Sure, of course.
Where you could, have 2 or 3 pastors who could cover a variety of churches in different ways. So,
So creative is the word that I'm listening.
I believe so. Yeah.
Being creative and
being creative.
So what has been a blessing or a transition from a blessing as you got transition into this new position and new area of supervision?
Sure. I think just the sense of a new adventure. I've spent 21 years in the region that's now the Lake Country District. I'd served Eufaula in the McAllister District, then moved to Durant in the Ardmore District, and then the districts combined and served in Lake Country for several years, then was appointed superintendent of Lake Country. So I've just kind of been up and down Highway 69 for the last 20 years. And love that region, love those people, but when the opportunity arose to, as we were redistricting and saw that, there was a need in the West, and talked with Bishop Nunn about that, and it just seemed like that was the calling right now, and so grateful to be able to venture out into this new area, and as the conference is kind of centralizing the superintendents, getting us all a little closer here to the conference center. That was another good opportunity to get to be close to the city. We have some family in the area, and that puts us a little bit closer to some of our children and grandchildren. So that was awesome. Exciting.
Yes.
And I have served in the West. We were in Beaver for 4 years, a long time ago, and so I know the Panhandle a little bit, and in northwestern Oklahoma. I've never served in the Southwest, so it'll be interesting to get acquainted with Lawton, Duncan, Altus, all that area, and all the other towns around. So looking forward to just seeing what it's like to be with the folks there.
Is there anything particular that you're looking forward to? I mean, other than the adventure and
like I say, getting to know the people and the churches, and just together, all of us working together to seek God's vision for the church and to help realize that. I know we've all been through a lot the last couple of years in the conference, and there's still a lot of recovery, I think, going on, and so probably helping with that, but also starting to see glimpses of the future and where God's leading us. I think God still has a purpose for us, for our church, for the United Methodist Church, and for each of our churches. And I think part of my ministry will be to help churches see that and realize that and start living into that future that God has for them.
Right. So I've been asking questions to everybody who I've been talking with. It is, what do you do to recharge yourself from the word that I've been using is from recover, so to speak, from the business of the church
Sure.
to get to the heart of the church,
Yeah.
right? So
Yeah.
I don't know, what do you do?
Yeah. Well, I've always been a reader. You know, even in seminary, I'd take a break from reading theology and read fiction or something like that. So that's a little, you know, maybe a little weird, but that's kind of who I am. So yeah, that finding the time to just do that and you know, like I say, read some fiction or some history, American history or something like that's been kind of on my plate recently for fun. Also, over the years, I've learned some things about do-it-yourself projects at home.
Cool.
So,
Yeah.
and so been having the opportunity to practice that recently, and we'll probably continue to do that. Just nothing major, but just you know, a little handiwork and just completing a project and saying, "Oh, it's done." That's good to have that done.
Yes.
And so I like that. Just real, yeah, pretty simple stuff. Family time is good. We have children and a grandchild who live far away, so we get to FaceTime with them occasionally. So that's fun. Have others who are nearer and get to visit with them. So yeah, I'm looking forward to some of those times as well.
Yes.
Yeah, so just family time and handiwork. And just, yeah, that's recharging, I guess.
Yes. All right, so, you know, I think that takes us directly straight to these other questions I've been asking is, so tell us something interesting, something that the good people in Western Oklahoma will like to know, that it is not necessarily related to ministry per se, but could be, but, you know, something that, an interesting, using air quotes, you know, hobby that you may like. You said that you are doing candy work, but, you know, I don't know.
That would probably be something I would say. Yeah, I've never been a big hobby person. You know, I don't golf. I don't, you know, I did play sports in high school and some intramurals in college. So I like sports, but I'm, you know, not really involved in that. But, you know, getting out and walking, you know, my wife and I have been walking the neighborhood and getting acquainted with it and learning some things. So those kinds of things are good. I do enjoy the travel, so that's good because I'll be doing that a lot. And it'll allow me time to get caught up on podcasts and things. So like this and others that are out there that are really good.
Audiobooks for, you know, history and that kind of thing.
Audible. I have to work on some of that too. Anyway.
Well, is there anything else that you would like to say to, you know, to the Western District as you coming in, all the churches that are listening and that all the people over there?
Yeah, just, you know, looking forward to getting acquainted with everybody out there, and you know, grateful for the opportunity to be in churches. And you know, my habit has been to just drop in on churches on Sunday morning, not to set up a schedule and things. So you know, if I show up, that's great. Don't be nervous. You know, I'd love to bring greetings from the bishop and the cabinet, but that's not a requirement. And you know, I'll look forward to. You know, I still love to preach, and so that's been one of the things I've missed. I think being on the cabinet is the regular routine of preparing for Sunday morning. So. You know, anytime there's a need, I'll be glad to step in and take, you know, help out with worship and preaching. So, yeah, that's
awesome.
What I'm looking forward to.
Thank you. So also you heard that. So not only the Reverend Breon would like to have invited for an office when he's around, but also he will maybe like to preach in your church. So that would be great if you can do that.
You bet.
Just text him, email him, and he will be around.
You bet.
Well, thank you for being here.
Thank you
for all your
Thanks
time,
for
and thank you for your ministry, and many blessings upon this transition and into, you know, your driving. And may God protects you, coming in and out, you know, and all of this. And may God bless us all as a conference and as a new district, Western District. Blessings to you all as you also figured it out and feel your way around it and all this transition as well. Hello, you guys. I'm here today with Reverend Dr. Bessie Hamilton. I'm so happy that she's here with us today, and we're going to be talking about all her work with New Faith communities and multi-ethnic initiatives. But before that, I just want to remind you, please like us on Facebook when we are put all the information there for a circuit update. Also, help us to promote it and send it to everybody that needs to hear and wants to hear about what is happening in our annual conference. Also, you can hear just the audio through Spotify, so just have that in mind as well. So welcome, thank you for being here today, and I'm so happy that you are here today. So we just go right into the matter of things. So in the Oklahoma Conference, we have has discerned 5 dreams, a strategic approach for our ministry. So one of those dreams is new churches for new people. So how is New Faith Communities embodying or living out this dream?
Well, I would say, automatically when I think of dreams, I think of like thoughts or aspirations, these things that you're wanting to accomplish or something that's greatly desired. And so I would start with first just being extremely excited about the 4 church plants that we have created really or developed over the last year. And so I start with that, churches or congregations perhaps had disaffiliated but needed a new space. And so we've had all of these 4 churches to be created out of a need or desire to build something else, either within the area or in a new area. And so when we talk about new places, new people, then we can initially turn to that, just those 4. But then when we start thinking about the desire and what we have in store, and just as I said earlier to you, we've had 127 churches to disaffiliate. We want to plant 127 churches. And so, and that's not something that we're just saying because it sounds good to say. But we are at the beginning stages of trying to create a process where we can do that best. And so I'm excited about what can be, but to begin looking at a process and how we do that. How, if we say we're going to start 127 churches, what's that process? Is that starting a church in each district, for the next 20 years? Is that starting 2 or 3 or 5 or 10 churches or whatever that is? And I think NFC, we're excited about the conversation that we're starting to have now to put a method or a process in place to make that a reality for what we're trying to do.
Awesome.
Yeah.
We're looking forward to all the churches that are going to be popping up all over our conference. So what has been the greatest challenge for New Faith Communities, NFC, that has faced to fulfill this dream that you have experienced so far?
Right. I think, and I think this is not anything new. I think you will find out that if you talk to church planters around the country, whether it's in the United Methodist Church or whether it is in another denomination, there's this taboo thought around new faith communities because people often just ask the question, why start a new faith community? Why don't you just revitalize an existing church?
Right.
And I think that needs to happen.
Sure.
But I think they both can happen. And so I think the greatest challenge really is educating people as to why it is important. As much as we love our churches and the spaces that we're in, there are going to be people who will never come into our spaces, no matter how much we revitalize them, no matter what we do. It's just going to be what it's always been in that community. And for some people, they can't shake that view of that particular church. And so I think, going forward, our challenge is helping people to understand that new faith communities are necessary. They are important for bringing in new people, folks who are de-churched, unchurched, whatever it may be, that this is the best way in helping those people who've said, I'm done with church. That this is a new way, a new vision of how we do church. Yeah.
So we heard about the biggest challenges for NFC. What has been the biggest blessings for New Faith Communities?
I think having a solid team, NFC team, they are engaged and passionate about NFC work, and so it has been so exciting having that group with me. And I think in addition to that, I think our newest manual, New Faith Communities manual, I think we can all agree that it has helped us to understand more about what we're doing and what we're trying to do. And so, before, I think we were pulling from various pieces of paper and trying to figure out what to do. So to have everything in one place and to have all of our team members who are able to walk down the process, for planters, how do we do what we do, and to even have this guide where our planters can go to and understand a little bit more, and for other folks to get this manual and to begin praying about, how they see themselves, fitting in with all of that. So I think that has been the greatest challenge, the greatest accomplishment for us in just knowing our process going forward. That's always exciting.
It's exciting, yes.
Yeah.
So real quick before I go to the scripted questions, if you will, I want to know if there is a church out there that wants to know about this manual, is discerning if they are maybe a vital place for a new church community, a new plant, or whatever that may be for their mission field. How can they get this manual? How can they communicate to you?
They are more than welcome to call the conference center, and we can mail that to them. But what we have also done on the OKUMC New Faith Communities page, we have the booklet up, the manual up. So they are welcome to go there as well and go through that.
Perfect.
Awesome. So that's a great way for people to just to be able to have it right in front of them as well.
Great. So just go to our website, and probably a link is going to show up here soon, and you can see this manual already. And if you want it on paper, sometimes they can just contact Bessie, and she will be happy to send it to you. Okay. So say a local church may be exploring branching out into new campus, into a church plant. What steps they need to take as a local church that they may want to think about?
Yes, and we're hoping that in this kind of a new age, since we're past disaffiliation and all of that, that churches will begin to think like that. And so the process first would be sensing a call for a second location or a satellite or whatever that may be, going to the district superintendent, processing that, and then after that, then a conversation with myself as well as our NFC team to begin brainstorming that. And we already know that with the work that you do, we can get mission insight, demographics, so that we can see exactly what kind of second site that would look like for people. And then we just somewhat walk them through the process of presenting a proposal, selecting a planter, and know that NFC is right there with that church to walk them through all of that, and to begin thinking about that. We have a day of discernment coming up in September, so that's an opportunity for churches, if people wanting to send a group of people to come and to begin thinking about what that would look like. Because there's something beautiful in, I think, in having a church or a group of people who don't have to think about doing this work alone. And you already have that infrastructure, you already have some of the finances, you already have people who can help build, if you're thinking about a second campus or a satellite church. So I'm hoping that they would spend some time just praying through that and with their district superintendent. And just as I said, the most important thing is, knowing that there is a need for it. not just saying, oh, we want a second site, but seeing
Right.
that there is a need, that there are some people who are not being reached, that you can reach. So it is an opportunity, I
Yes.
think, to do it.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I
Yeah.
hope that everybody who's listening to us start to discern maybe that they start a new campus in there. So say a leader, clergy or lay, has felt Jesus is calling to be a planter. What do they need to do to answer this calling?
Right. I think the thing is, the process is somewhat similar but different when you talk about a church versus when you talk about a planter. I think one of the things, and as we know, church planting really is a call in of itself, and so it is it's work. I always tell people it is the most challenging thing I've ever done, but it's also the best thing that I've ever done. So the prayer would be that planters, would really sense a call that God is calling them to plant a church. Again, we always go back to our first step is going to the district superintendent and then meeting with myself as well as our team and just processing what that looks like. What we developed a list of about 12 questions that the district superintendent would take that planter, that possible planter through. And then after that, we hope that they would be affirmed in some way to continue on. And so the next step would be an assessment. They do an assessment to determine if they are deemed to be planters, if you will. And once they kind of move through that process and they are affirmed as planters, then we walk side by side with them to develop a proposal in which they would come before NFC. We would work with them, allow them to present, but then work with them on, compiling, whatever data they need and whatever area to have them start thinking about names and vision and mission and all of that. And so, and once they go through that process with going before NFC with a proposal, then we would make a decision about the approval with the district superintendent. And then we just somewhat move them through the process. So it is not a hard process to get through. It's just that I think the most challenging thing, just making sure at the beginning that it's something they feel God has called them to do, because again, it's a lot of work, and so, but it's exciting work, and I think if the planters just kind of stick with that, they can get through the whole process with help. We're not gonna leave them alone, we we're not gonna say, okay, plant a church and you're on your own, figure it out. That's what it used to be, back in the day. You just had to figure it out. But now we're at a process now where we walk with the planter. So, and I'm praying that we will have more people who are thinking about creative ways and how to reach different kinds of people who would never come in a regular church, so that's the prayer.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
That's great.
yeah.
So I like to hear these. I like to say this saying, particularly with family or with, in this case, with planters. I think applies to. We are stuck with you and you're stuck with us.
Right.
that we are together in this. And so I just might make sure that I understand, and our people there, that it is clergy, of course, but also lay persons who can be planters. It is not necessarily prohibited, right? For clergy or laity as well. All right, great. Well, so we're almost about to wrap this up. So again, if you want to, thinking as a person or as a church that you want to plant or feel the sermon or the calling from Jesus that you want to plant a church, please contact, of course, your district superintendent, but also Reverend Dr. Bessie Hamilton, just to make sure that the what is going on, and just have a conversation. Even just having an initial conversation, it could be a great place to start. So now we'll just go a little bit more, with Bessie. So tell us something, just interesting, something that's happening in your life, something that a hobby, or playing an instrument, singing, painting, handworking, whatever it is about you, that it is maybe not necessarily about work, but it is recharging you. And another way that I've been asking this question, it is, what did you do to help you reconnect with God and away from the business of the church to be back to the heart of the church.
Right,
So-
right. Well, I would say that outside of what I do, I sing. I used to play the piano. I don't play as much anymore. But in addition to that, I enjoy just writing, and I enjoy time with children. I volunteer at a school with children. I've always loved children. I mean, my undergraduate and master's degree initially was in elementary education, and so I had always imagined I would be a teacher. So I am still a lover of little kids, and so I volunteer for the smallest jobs, whether it's giving them snacks or something like that.
Sure.
I am drawn to children, and so I have always made that an effort, on my part. I just as I said, I like writing, so I plan one day, real soon, to write, something with children's books, as well as issues with women. I'm drawn to anything that deals with women issues and things like that. And so that has been kind of when I want to steal away and have some time away. Usually that's what I will do. I write songs and poems that I read over and over to myself. I've never really published anything or put anything out there, but it is just something I like doing to express, how I'm feeling or what I'm dealing with in a particular situation.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, we need to hear those songs and those poems. We need to hear one of these days.
Right, one of these days,
Yeah.
because I know you play,
Well,
so you and I could get
hey.
together and do something together.
Hey, that's an idea right there. Yeah, I love it. Yes, let's do
Right,
it. Let's do it.
right.
That's awesome. That's
Right,
great.
right. So I
Well-
think that would be something good.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I'm looking forward to hearing and seeing your poems. That would be great.
Right.
Well, thank you again for being here today with us. And as I said, this is a very important work for that NFC and New Faith Communities is doing. We haven't talked, or we did not get to talk about the ethnic initiatives, but another time will be so that we can just dedicate today for New Faith Communities. But similar things will happen in there as well. Hello, you guys. I'm here today with Peyton James, and we will hear all about her ministry here in a minute. But please like us on YouTube, on Facebook, whenever we update our podcasts. We come once a month. And also, we are on Spotify if you want to listen just the audio, and you want to see it on YouTube, that would be great. But just please share it with everybody around so that these can be extended to everybody in the conference, and they can be part of this great adventure that is Circuit Update. So without further ado, thank you for being here today.
Thank you.
And well, as I said, we're going to hear all about you. So why don't you tell the good people of Oklahoma who you are, where do you serve, and everything about Peyton James.
Okay, my name is Peyton James again, like you said. I am the part-time children's director at Chapel Hill United Methodist in North Oklahoma City, but I also teach full-time in Putnam City Schools at Ralph Downs. I just finished my 4th year of teaching. I teach 2nd grade. And I also help with Project Transformation over the summer as their program specialist. So I pop into sites across the state and just help the AmeriCorps members kind of run things smoothly, help focus on that literacy component and all of that.
That's awesome. That's great. Yeah. So we want to hear more about all about PT or Project Transformation. So I will ask you, please, to tell us about your call to ministry. With PT, I know that you have a long history with Project Transformation.
Yes.
Just to those, PT, it's not physical therapy, it's Project Transformation.
Yes.
And teaching.
Okay, yes. So my call to ministry, it's a little quirky of a story. It's actually kind of still in process. In 2nd grade, I wrote a paper on how I was going to be a pastor when I grew up. That's what my career choice was. I dressed up as it on career day. I wore one of my mom's stoles and all the things. That's what I was going to do. And I actually hated school. But my very first mission trip I went on in 6th grade was actually with something called Connect to the Kingdom in Dallas. And part of that experience was that in the afternoons, we volunteered with a Project Transformation site in Dallas. And so it was super cool. And then I came to learn that one of the people that helped start PT, Sarah Wilkie, was a coworker of my dad's. We hosted her dad, the bishop, at our house for dinner and all the things. And then fast forwards when I was in high school, the former director of PT, Sarah Nichols, was my church camp small group leader. And then Charlie Ludden was as well, and then they hired me in college to do PT. And so I picked elementary ed because with thinking about seminary and all the things, I wanted to pick an undergrad degree that would kind of guarantee me a job. So that's what I picked. And then I learned all about the literacy gap and how few students are proficient in reading and all of the barriers that that puts up for their future and all the things. And I just got a little mad. And Sarah Nichols taught us this quote when we did PT about how your vocation is where your greatest passion and the world's greatest needs are in alignment. And so as my call to ministry is still kind of unraveling, I'm trying to find ways that I can invest myself in church ministry and in literacy ministry and kind of find ways that they've overlapped. So I'm kind of juggling all the moving parts between teaching and then working at a church and then helping with PT. It kind of bridges the two.
Together.
So I've had all these seeds of these insignificant moments that actually kind of help sowed seeds to kind of bear fruit for my call story.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's great. That's wonderful. That's wonderful. So tell us about how you consciously have decided to, respond to God's calling as a layperson, and not particularly, as you said, as a pastor, because I was talking with Maddie Day not long ago, and I have made particularly myself the that assumption or question, when somebody, with leadership skills like you or Maddie, we pastors say, well, you're going to go to seminary, right? And probably you have, somebody has asked you that question. So more than that, I would like for you to tell us how you consciously said, I have decided to be a lay person, but still answer God's call.
Yeah. So my dad and I have talked about this when I wrote that paper in second grade on how I wanted to be a pastor. I think some of it is because, yes, I had this nudging or to be involved in ministry, but that both of my parents were ordained Methodist elders, and so part of that was that was the exposure that I had of what ministry looked like. And so not that I'm ruling that out as an option for me one day if that's where I get called. I've kind of tap danced around that for as long as I can remember, but my call story as a lady has really kind of evolved as I've learned more so that there are ways to be in ministry without being ordained. Growing up, at camps and all the things, you hear all these huge call stories of people that kind of like hit rock bottom and found God and all these things. And so I always sometimes kind of doubted what my role in ministry would look like, because my conscious decision to be a laity, I can't pick one specific moment where I consciously made that decision, because I have been raised to never know anything else. And Trey Wetzel gave a sermon when I was in college that was something I needed to hear my entire life, about how that's what we want for the children of our homes and the children of our churches and just the children of this world, is to never know a day where they didn't know that God loved them. And so we want to raise them in this exposure of God's grace and God's love, and that's what I was blessed to have. And so I've have all this collection of this life story of people on each end of the pew, so I could walk back and forth as a toddler while my mom preached and didn't have to stay in the nursery for hours, or VBS and church camp and mission trips, and people having us to their house for dinner or showing up at graduation and all of the things, people that I hadn't seen since I was 5 that showed up for my mom's funeral, and just like this army of people that I gained through the church. And I was able to see ways that ministry kind of transpires beyond the pulpit. And just through the ways that people have poured into me, I have seen how I did kind of unconsciously choose to be a laity, because I've never known anything different. But the ministry that comes in that, which has been cool.
That's awesome. That's great. Well, with that, I want to segue then, therefore, to what will be the invitation for the laity of Oklahoma, the Oklahoma Conference, who are seeking to serve. Either they are already serving, or they are, as you say, tap dancing around and say, I want to jump in, but I don't know when or how, or discerning type thing. So what would you tell the good people of Oklahoma?
I would just start with showing up. I mean, that's the biggest thing is just showing up on Sundays, finding a local church, and just asking questions. We do like announcements at the end of the service every Sunday of ways that people can get connected, and just find ways to say yes, even if it's outside of your comfort zone. Try all the things and see if you can finally maybe find that little vocational piece where your passions and the world's greatest needs come into alignment and where you feel connected. So start with just saying yes.
Yeah, I like that. Start saying yes. That will be that's a good T-shirt. That's a good T-shirt for everything. All right. So with your ministry with children at the church, but also in school, what would be the most important thing that you would like to teach them, to convey to them, to make an impact, to pass on to the children, as I said, in the school and also in the church?
For both, my greatest wish for them is just to know that they are loved. And so, I mean, at school it's harder. When I've talked to people about it some, so like Project Transformation, a little bit of background, is a summer literacy program for students that are for campers in low-income communities that are behind in reading. So a big goal of that is to prevent summer slide because kids are susceptible to losing 2 to 3 months of their literacy skills and all that they've learned over the summer. So Project Transformation is hosted at churches. So part of its component is to get families connected to churches, but a big component of it is to prevent that literacy slide and to bridge that literacy gap. And so we are an AmeriCorps. We have an AmeriCorps grant, so we get some of our funding through that, which kind of makes some of the ministry components look a little different. And because there's some things that like we can't say about religion, our faith, and all of that. But what I've found that there is some beauty that comes from some of that, and just creating space for kids and families to know that they are loved. And people will start to see where that comes from the more they know you. And so I felt very nervous about that when I started teaching, and just how there's like when kids have shared experiences with me, or they've grieved, or they've been through trauma and all of these things, that their parents have said things, or they've been told things that have been destructive, ways that I just wish that I could give them these affirmations of faith and affirmations of God's love. But I have found comfort in just affirming them anyways, and beyond that, and knowing that little by little, hopefully they'll kind of see where that comes from. And so I just hope that all of the kids that we welcome, whether at church or at school or PT, wherever we welcome them from, know that they are loved, and later learn, if not now learn, where that comes from and who loves them most.
Yeah, that's great. That's beautiful. So I want to ask you this question. It is not scripted. I just thought that because your passion, and I think that I share this passion too. I'm a big advocate for anybody who can involve in project transformation and in any literacy ways with children. Is so important, so crucial. So, do you have any word of for our communities, for each local congregations, to they're maybe thinking about how to get involved in their mission field, and I have been one of those who say, I think that we can start with schools.
Yes,
to get involved in schools. So you have any words for them about that?
I would just say check in with your school and kind of see what they need. A big thing with literacy is getting kids books at home so that they can read at home. So just maybe do a book drive, see if your school would like books that they can give away. But a lot of them just need school supplies so that they can actually get through the day first. So just kind of, absolutely always reach out and see what they need. That's a great place to start.
Yeah, I always think so. So too. Okay, so just a couple more questions. So number one is, what do you do to recharge, from the business of the church to get back to the heart of the church, to get connected with God once again? Yeah,
so I love that I get to sit and worship. That's a big benefit of being like the children's minister where I am, is I do still, while I'm working, I do have the opportunity to sit and to be a part of worship. But all the opportunities to serve are kind of what recharge me. I love the opportunity to help be a part of communion, or getting plugged into usher when we don't have enough, or all the things, mission days, camps, all the things, like those are things that make my heart sing. So just active participation, that's what works for me.
Active participation, I like that, yes. Well, thank you for all what you do. Thank you for your
Thank you.
ministry. Thank you for being in, front and center with these children who need it so much, and who, we can do a little bit of maybe transforming or changing the educational trajectory of their lives by what you do, in the schools, project transformation, and abroad. So just thank you for what you do.
Thank
you. And well, thank you again, you guys. And if you want to know more about project transformation, email Marla Lobo at mlobo@okumc.org, and she will tell you everything about project transformation. And it's a wonderful ministry that you can get involved. Your local congregation, you yourself, just it's a wonderful, wonderful thing to be part of. Thank you.